Welcome to the Sales Whisperer Podcast, Session 15. Are you helping or hyping? Welcome again, everybody. This is Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, and today I've got Baer. Jay is a hype-free social media and content strategist and speaker. He's the author of Utility, the innovative new book on content marketing, and his Convince and Convert blog is ranked as one of the world's top marketing resources. He is president of Convince and Convert, a consulting firm that works with major corporations like Nike, Caterpillar, and Maersk to accelerate their social and content strategies. A tequila aficionado and collector, Jay is also the host of the popular weekly Social Pros podcast. So here's my interview with Jay Baer. So, Jason, or I guess as you're known as Jay, welcome to the call.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
So you're kind of like me, huh? You know, I go by my middle name, which is Wes, but Wesley. Do people pick on you, or does only your mom call you Jason?
No, it's the other way around, actually. Everybody called me Jay, but my name was Jason. So probably 3 years ago, I actually just switched it to Jay because it was kind of confusing where everybody called me Jay, but my email was Jason and everything else. So there you go.
All right. Very nice. So you are of Convince and Convert fame, right?
I don't know about fame, but I am of Convince and Convert.
Hey, man, that's how I found you. You know, actually, I found you through the Infusionsoft community. You have done some webinars and stuff for those guys. You know,
that's right.
I've been a consultant with them for many years. So, of course, we want to talk about social media, but I want to talk also, I feel like I'm representative of the typical entrepreneur out there trying to make things happen. You know, I've grown my team over the years, and I have found it hard to really monetize and track and do social media well. Why is that? Psychoanalyze me. I mean, so why is it hard for entrepreneurs to get it right?
I think there's a lot of reasons. I would say the two that I come into contact with most often in the entrepreneurial community are that entrepreneurs, by definition, want things to happen very fast. And social media success is typically very slow.
Right.
And entrepreneurs, in many cases, want to talk about themselves and explain why what they are doing has merit. And somewhat counterintuitively, in many cases, social media success requires that you talk about other people and let them talk about you. And both of those can be a little bit difficult for entrepreneurs to get their arms around.
But obviously, you got your start in the early 90s, right? Just in business in general.
In online, yeah. I started in digital. I started in politics. I was a political consultant for a while, and then was a client-side marketer, and I started in online marketing in 94, yeah.
So you were obviously, very early adopter of technology. Was it a natural transition for you into social media? Did it kind of hit you on the head one day?
Yeah, that was a pretty natural transition because while there are certainly some dynamics of social that are unusual and different than anything else. In fact, I've written books about that topic, but in some ways, I feel like I've seen the social movie before, right? I saw that movie when we called it web design, and I saw that movie when we called it email, and I saw that movie when we called it SEO, and I saw that movie when we called it banner ads, and so to some degree, and I say this with more than half seriousness, that people will tell you that social media is some kind of unicorn, but maybe it's just a horse, and there's some truth to that, I think.
Right. Let's say there's a business that's doing okay, but not doing as well as they should. I love the fact that you bring that up. It's not a unicorn, because I work with my clients, try to tell them it's just a medium, right? Maybe it's right for you, maybe it's not. Yeah. Maybe Yellow Pages are right for you, right?
Could be.
If you've got an older clientele, you're going after it or what have you. But if somebody, your average company is just kind of not hitting their numbers, they're bumping along. Where do you start with somebody? What can somebody do to kind of self-diagnose, if you will, to kind of right the ship, to begin getting the phones to ring, getting visitors to the site?
Well, I think the biggest challenge with most companies is thinking that social is the place that you're going to create customers from scratch. because generally you're not. I mean, there's this big misconception that social media is a very good customer acquisition tool, and it's not. It's really not. It's much more of a loyalty and retention play.
Okay.
Wes, you never go to Facebook and say, "Oh, here's a company. I have no idea who they are or what they do. Let me like them." Right? we like on Facebook and Twitter and elsewhere what we actually like in 3 dimensions, and there's actually data to back that up. That 74% of the people that like company Facebook pages are current or former customers of those companies.
Gotcha.
Of course they are. Of course they are. So when you start understanding that, you realize that what social is for is to turn your existing customers into volunteer marketers, and get your existing customers to come back again and again and again. And so it's much more of a lifetime customer value kind of a play than it is, let's introduce our brand to people. So from that perspective, social is really a lot more like email than it is other technologies, right? I mean, if you think about email's a way to keep your company top of mind amongst people who have given you permission to do so. Facebook is the exact same thing, right? It's a way to keep your company top of mind amongst people who have given you permission to do so. One is an opt-in, one is a like, but the mechanics are very similar. So that's usually the biggest mistake is thinking of social as a customer making engine when it's really a customer keeping engine.
Now, do you work with clients on pay-per-click advertising on social media, or just on like organic social media, if you will?
Both. Most of our clients are corporations. We typically consult for medium-sized and larger organizations who generally have departments dedicated to social advertising and paid search advertising and things like that, and we advise across the board on both organic and paid. But it's a very interesting time that you have this combination of organic reach and paid reach with Facebook ads, with Twitter ads, with LinkedIn ads that didn't really exist 2 years ago. And it reminds me of the mid 90s when we all of a sudden had organic search and paid search. It's a fascinating time. And in our consulting practice, sometimes we have to get in the middle of that in terms of helping companies figure out who within their arsenal of employees is in charge of which of those disciplines.
Mm-hmm. Last week, I had Kelly Perdue on. He was the winner of season 2 of The Apprentice. He's doing a lot online on social media, but he talked about the customer acquisition side, but purely from a pay-per-click. He's paying for ads, sponsored ads, yada yada, and driving them and converting them. So, So in that regard, obviously that's a way he's getting new clients from that, and then of course nurturing them and keeping them.
Yeah, it can totally work. I just don't really think of that as social media.
Right.
It's advertising that happens to be running on a social network, but I don't really think of that as social media in the classic sense. Right.
So so I work a lot with brand new Infusionsoft users.
Yeah.
And so these even though they're new Infusionsoft users, rarely are they new businesses, right? We want somebody that's mature in their business and is suffering from the multiple system chaos, right, and are consolidating. But a lot of them still, their online presence is not as strong, it's not as solid, it's not as coordinated as it could or should be.
Yep.
But I find myself quite often telling them, like trying to hold them back, because they're like, we need a new Facebook page and a Twitter page, and we're looking at Hootsuite and TweetDeck and Sprout Social, and a lot of times, I find myself telling them, hold on, let's just get the fundamentals right. Is that solid advice?
Definitely. Especially with regards to Infusionsoft. What I tell small businesses all the time is, if you're not great at email, you have no business doing social. Like if you can't send out one great thing a week or build a nurturing sequence in Infusionsoft, why would you want to try and tackle something that occurs in real time?
Right.
If you can't communicate successfully in something that you plan. Why would you want to jump into an area where you can't plan it as much? So, people want to do social because they think it's magic and they think it's exciting and it's hot and it's new. I've got a presentation that I give called Email is Madonna and Facebook is Lady Gaga.
That's all.
It's basically the same thing, but just with a fresh coat of paint. So, and I think you're giving people good advice in that regard, right? Get your systems in order. In fact, I of course have done it the opposite, right? We're, I think, modestly good at social media in my company and myself. And now we've been Infusionsoft customers for a long time, and we do some consulting for Infusionsoft as well. But we're just now sort of getting to the point where we want to try and unlock the power of the system and use it in a much more interesting and detailed way.
So if somebody is new to social media, should they outsource it? I mean, should they hire like a consultant to kind of hold their hands and get them up and running?
Really depends on the size of the company. Social isn't inexpensive. It's just different expensive, right? It's very time intensive. So especially for smaller companies, I'm not a huge proponent of outsourcing because I don't feel like you can really outsource your voice. And social is the online representation of your voice, more so than anything else, more so than email, more so than your website. It is you in 140 characters or a picture or what have you. And I think it's hard to give that away to somebody else day to day. I certainly understand the small business circumstance. I mean, I'm a small business. I understand the circumstance of, geez, I just don't have time to do this. And I would gladly pay somebody to make this pain go away. Mm-hmm. But outsourcing your social media is not the same as outsourcing your accounting, right? It's a different psychological circumstance. Now, I'm a big proponent, partially because this is what we do for a living, but I'm a big proponent of companies outsourcing their strategy and saying, okay, tell me what we should be doing in social, tell me what kind of resources we should put against it, and tell me how to measure whether it's working, and then I'll go ahead and execute it. And that's usually how we get involved. We do social media strategic plans for companies and then turn it over either to their staff and or their agencies, and then we kind of babysit it along the way.
I know you work with bigger companies and bigger consulting packages, but I like to put myself out there kind of as a rubber meets the road kind of guy. Are there any little tools, things you can share that like a beginner or companies on a smaller budget, like aggregators, like the Hootsuites and Sprout Socials of the world, or how should I link them? Should I go to Instagram and push that to Facebook and push that to Tumblr? I mean, there's so many ways to wire this thing up.
It really is. I'm a huge advocate for Buffer. I'm an angel investor in that company, and Buffer allows you to find things that you want to publish in social media, click one button, share it across whichever networks you like, but in a time-release capsule kind of fashion. So,
is that buffer.com or what is it?
Buffer.com. Maybe it's bufferapp.com. I think they may have changed it. And so in the morning, for example, I'll kind of skim through dozens and dozens of email newsletters and blogs and stuff and find the handful of things that I think are interesting enough to share in social media that day. Right. And so I just click that Buffer toolbar icon in my browser, and it automatically tweets them out throughout the day. So I'm done. Right. Really fantastic tool. Big fan of those guys. Like Sprout a lot too. I've worked with pretty much everybody in that industry at some time or another. If This Then That is a huge tool. ifttt.com. Yep. Which is a really fantastic an unbelievable system where you can say, look, anytime I favorite a tweet, email it to me, right? Anytime I upload, anytime I take a picture and share it on Instagram, automatically put it in my Dropbox, just like any number of recipes. Very, very interesting. To your actual question about sharing things cross-platform, I'm not a big proponent of that. I certainly understand that it's a lot easier to create one piece of content and then click a button and it automatically goes to Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and everywhere else. But the reality, Wes, is that the communities in those networks are pretty different, and what works in each of those networks is different as well. So even though it does take more time, we typically advise people to craft distinct messages for Facebook, for LinkedIn, for Twitter, for Pinterest, etc., even if that message is about the same content.
Right. Well, I've noticed that, and I'm making notes as we're talking here. I love learning while I get to interview. That's a good bonus.
That's why I have a podcast. I do the same thing.
I'm multitasking here live.
I learn while I interview. Same thing.
Because, I notice, like, if I have Twitter connected to my fan page, there seems to be less interaction. Like, the picture doesn't come through. It shows that it's from Twitter.
Yep.
Kind of like flossing and eating less trans fats, right? We know we need to do more of both, more flossing and less eating. Yeah. And we need to take the time to spread it across social media.
Yep.
Man, I got notes all over the place. Other than social media, I mean, what do you advise? Do you get into direct mail marketing? Do you get into other forms of marketing to help? Because obviously, if the ironic thing is we watch TV and we see, ESPN advertise their Twitter account or their fan page. I mean, there's all big companies obviously have cross media. They have the budgets. I mean, what can the little guys do to even make people aware of their pages? And at what point should they even try to start dipping their toe in their water? Should they do it right away or just focus on email, focus on the website, get a good list of followers before they branch out into social media?
Well, it's hard to say. I am not one that says you should never do anything offline. I think that's crazy. I mean, you hear people talk about that and say, well, you should never waste your money advertising, offline. And I think that's poor advice typically offered by people who don't really understand business. There's, millions of situations, literally millions of situations where a newspaper ad or a magazine ad or an outdoor board or a TV commercial or a radio spot or a direct mail piece is perfectly appropriate. But you can also waste a lot of money doing that, the same way you can waste a lot of money online, no question. But I always feel like if the idea of social is to kind of create a fan club for your brand, which it really is, having that fan club in place will make the other advertising you do that much more effective. I always feel like if you can't get people to rally around your company online, it'll probably be pretty tough to rally around your company offline. So that's not to say that the very first thing you do when you open your doors is worry about social media. First thing you got to do is have a good product, right? And that's what I always tell people. It's like, look, social media isn't going to patch up your wounds, right? If your company sucks, Twitter's the least of your problems, right? Fix your company. I mean, and truthfully, if you sort of analyze, this kind of trajectory of social media, the companies that are great at social media in almost every case are really good companies. They care about their company, they care about their employees, they care about their customers. It's not an accident, right? So to some degree, social media lets the rich get richer.
Okay, here's a crazy question. Is Facebook dead? And I asked that. I've got 3 teenagers. And I don't know, 3-4 months ago, I said something about Facebook, and they looked at me and are like, man, we're on Instagram. So I mean, like,
yep.
Are the 20-somethings and under, are they tired of the commercialization, really, of Facebook? And, are they moving? Obviously, at least in my little microcosm, they seem to be. So,
yep. I have the exact same microcosm. I have 2 teenagers, or a teen and a preteen, and same thing. They don't use Facebook anymore. They always use Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat. And I certainly wouldn't say Facebook is dead. Anytime you've got a billion people doing the same thing, you've got a business there, obviously.
Hey, it's a good headline.
Yeah.
Jay Baer answers the question: is Facebook dead?
But it's got to be a concern, right? That younger audience seems to be going somewhere else. I don't think it's the commercialization, though, and this is purely opinion. I don't have any data on this, but I don't think it's commercialization so much as it is, I don't want to use the social network my dad is on.
Right.
Period. And also, Facebook is not as fast or as immediate or as visceral as Twitter and Instagram are. And if there's one thing that kids crave right now, it's immediacy and speed. So I wouldn't count Facebook out, though. I mean, It's not, let's remember they own Instagram. So they got you coming. They got you one way or the other.
What about MySpace?
The new MySpace?
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting from a vertical social network perspective. I mean, really what MySpace is today is a social network for music lovers. Okay. And I don't think that's a bad play at all. Now, would I advise brands to go there? Well, not unless for whatever reason that's really your core audience. There's probably other places to spend your time, but I think it's interesting what they've done with it.
Have you done much with like WordPress.org or TypePad in particular?
No, not too much. All the blogs that I have, and I've got 5 or 6 now, are all kind of hosted WordPress kind of stuff. Traditional, regular blogs that we put quite a bit of time into.
Right. I mean, I tell at least beginners, and maybe I probably work with more brand new folks than you might now, but I encourage them if they're just getting started. I mean, to do a free, WordPress. Obviously, Seth Godin is a great example of somebody using an open, but he's Seth Godin.
I'm a big fan of Pagely in that regard as well. Pagely is a hosted WordPress company, but very inexpensive, just a few dollars a month. It's page.ly. Really, really easy to set up and operate, and gives you some of the advantages of a full-blown WordPress installation without a lot of the hassles. Some friends of mine own that company. They've been really successful with it. And but you raise a really good point, Wes, that if somebody says to me, okay, what's the very, very first thing I should do in social media? Write a blog.
Right.
Always. 100% of the time.
I'm trying to pull that up real quick. It's pagelead.com, right?
I think it's page.ly, but I could be wrong.
I'm trying to pull that up real quick. Page.ly. Oh, yeah. It redirects to that pagely.com.
Okay, got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And isn't there also like a page.li or something, some type of aggregator where you can
Paperly. That's Paperly.
Paperly, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Paperly takes Paperly. It's paper.li, and it takes things that you have tweeted and rolls it up into sort of a web page newspaper format.
Right. Yeah, but so I didn't mean to interrupt. Let's get back to like what you're saying, because I'm a writer. Obviously, you're a writer. So many people struggle though. They're like, "What do I write about?" Because I say the same thing. You got to, hone your writing chops, if you will. Right. I mean, start getting it out there. Do you have any tips for that? I mean, I've met more and more authors now. They tell me I'm surprised how many have dictated and then handed it over. But I mean, like with iPhones and stuff now, there's so many good things. You can just talk and words appear. But I mean, how can people get started?
Well, I think the easiest way to go, especially with the blog, and I talk about this a lot in my new book, Utility, is just answer every customer question. Just sit down and literally make a list of all the questions that your customers have ever asked you or might ever ask you, and answer those questions. You know, and every question becomes a blog post. Start there. That should be 100 blog posts at a minimum. Right. If you're even modestly creative. Then once you get through that 100, then cast a little broader net. But do that first. I mean, the best way to get started is always to build the ultimate FAQ around your own business.
Yeah, I tell people just look in their sent box from their email. They've probably written some glorious responses, just passionately, just responding. And I'm like, you got gold sitting there. I think we undervalue the value of our own knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, or we just don't unlock it, right? We think we can only have it up here, or we can only convey it, in speaking or in person. I do a lot of work with Compendium, which is a content marketing software dashboard, and it allows you to do just that, to take your sent box and also your inbox, and just with one click, turn them into a blog post. Say, take this email, make it a blog post. Click, boom, done.
Nice.
Yeah, it's sweet.
All right, everybody pause while I write. And okay, cool. I was with Amy Porterfield a couple of weeks ago, and she had a great idea. She said, like, go to slideshare.net and just look at the top 25 rated videos and see, or PowerPoints that are shared there. There's ideas, but I like what you said. Like with FAQs, I tell people, FAQs, and you should ask questions.
That's right.
And so from there, there's plenty of stuff.
The key to that being really honest, though, and being very proactive about your own shortcomings. I mean, the worst possible approach is to make an FAQ that reads like a brochure.
Right.
It's got to be true, right? It's got to be like, look, the more you can proactively tell people when you're not the right solution, the more trust they'll have in you.
Yeah, basically like choose who to lose, right?
Yep.
Because I always tell people, Rush Limbaugh and Howard Stern, who does not have an opinion on those guys, right? I mean, they don't apologize for who they are, but it's like you attract the same degree that you repel.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, and you just have to be clear about that. It's like we don't do a lot of small business work. I do a lot of small business advising, and I invest in a lot of startup companies, but we don't do a lot of small business consulting. It's not because I don't like small businesses. It's just not the type of company we are, and we're pretty clear about that. And you have to be.
Right. So you mentioned your new book. So it's Utility, right? YOU.
YO Utility, that's right. Why smart marketing is about help, not hype.
Yeah, I love that. Are you, I always tell people, give away your best stuff up front, right? I mean, is that kind of the same motto there? I mean, because people are like, well, then how do I make money? So, well, you'll always find people that eventually get in over their heads and they'll pay you for what you do.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly the premise of the book. Really, the way I define utility is that it's marketing so useful that people would pay. They'd pay you for it, right? So that's the idea: is that you take what you know and you give it away, or at least most of what you know, and that will create customers over the long haul. Maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. They always say, well, when should I plant a tree? Well, the best time to have planted a tree is 20 years ago.
Right.
The second best time is today.
Yeah.
The same thing is true with online.
Right. What's your take on video, YouTube, et cetera?
I just was on a podcast last night. We talked about this. There seems to be an insatiable thirst for video. Every time I think we've got enough, there's more. Now, Instagram video and Vine and obviously YouTube and Vimeo and everything else. I think what's driving that trend is people don't want to read anymore. They want things quicker and they want things more visceral. But more than anything else, it's the fact that there's no reason to not have video now. It wasn't that long ago that you couldn't watch video on your phone. Hell, it wasn't that long ago you couldn't watch video on your laptop.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago there were no laptops. So in a relatively short period of time, video went from something that was very expensive and very difficult to do online to something that anybody can do with an iPhone. And can watch, perfectly streaming, on their phone. And so I think we will continue to see more and more. And I very much believe that companies of all sizes need to find a way to tell their story in video, which isn't always easy.
Right.
It's a lot easier to have a terrible video than it is to have a terrible blog post.
Right.
Blog post is like pizza, right? I mean, even bad pizza is pretty good. Even bad blog posts are pretty good. Video, not the same. Video is different.
So even bad video is good, or no?
No, bad video is bad.
All right.
Bad video you shouldn't put up. Bad video can hurt you. Bad blog posts will be just Bad video can actually hurt you. And I don't mean bad in terms of bad quality. I'm not saying you got to have a Hollywood production company. But have an idea, have a point.
Gotcha.
And that's the problem with video. It's explosive right now, and there's a lot of crap out there.
Yeah, I tell people, I mean, at least to get started, kind of like blogging. I'm like, get your iPhone out, it records in HD, and say something meaningful, right? But I'm saying start cutting your teeth, and getting going.
Well, that's a really good way to go, because for entrepreneurs especially who maybe don't have the time or don't want to take the time to sit down and write a blog post, or maybe they don't feel like they're the best writers, just set your camera on a tripod and turn it on. And if we're talking about 100 blog posts, each one's a question, just do a 1-minute video for each of those 100 questions. Do a video FAQ. Very, very possible.
What's your take on like a ScreenFlow or Camtasia if they're not comfortable with their face on front?
Yeah, I use ScreenFlow all the time. Big fan.
Okay. I got this idea from Dan Kennedy many years ago. He had a big red sign. I made the exact same sign, and it said, "But Dan, my business is different," right? So but Wes, my business is different. Do you have some like crazy or unorthodox type companies that you've worked with? Because I'm sure people are going to listen to this and go, "Yeah, but my business is different. Social media won't work for me." I mean, have you worked with like an alligator farmer, or some crazy thing?
I think social media would work great for an alligator farmer.
Well, I actually would. I'm from the South.
We work with some business-to-business companies or healthcare companies or financial services companies, banks, insurance companies, people like that who are not necessarily the warmest organizations of all time, and also who have some fairly significant government regulation around what they can and cannot do in social media.
Right.
So even those companies are doing some really impressive things in social once they kind of understand what the rules are. So if they can do it, anybody can do it. So no, I don't think there are any exceptions. To say that we're not going to be active in social media because our company is different is the same as saying we're not going to have a telephone because our company is different.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a client, a good friend, that's a financial advisor. I said, if nothing else, you can retweet or repost links to the Wall Street Journal and say, here's an interesting article.
Exactly.
Right? So, I mean, at least you're out there.
You're a resource. You're a resource.
Exactly.
Who wants to read the whole journal? This guy will tell me the 2 things I need to read. I mean, I have an entire email program based on that exact same principle. We send an email every day called The One Thing that people can sign up for. And The One Thing sends you the one story that day in social media that you should have read. Because there's, 10,000 stories a day. I'll tell you the one you need to read.
Right.
People love it. People love it because it saves them all the time, cuts through all the BS.
All right, and I'll have all these on the blog. But where can they get the One Thing?
You can go to onesocialthing.com.
onesocialthing.com. All right, and then your main website today is it Convince and Convert?
That's right. Yep, convinceandconvert.com. And then for information on the book, you can go to utilitybook.com. There's actually which is on the New York Times bestseller list. There's also an free excerpt of the book that you can get there. It's like 20 pages of good stuff from right in the middle of the book.
Right. Very cool. And then your personal site is just jbaer.com, right?
jbaer.com. That's it. Baer, like the animal, but spelled opposite.
Now you're going to mess people up. Like,
I know, it's constantly
wait a
confusing.
minute. I'm from the South. That's how we spell bear down here. Well,
it's a big problem. I should have changed that. I should have gone from Jason Baer to J Baer spelled like the animal. That would have been very useful. There actually is a J Baer spelled like the animal, though, on Twitter, and that guy leads a different life than me. That's all I'll say. You can look that up.
All right. Maybe you should buy him out.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I should do. I should start buying up Twitter handles, anything that's related to my name. It's like a domain squatter. I'm going to do that.
At least become an affiliate of his, because he's getting some social juice from your name. It's like, hey, dude, at least give me a cut.
That's all right. He's welcome to have it.
So where are you heading next? Where can people find you the rest of 2013?
I have something like 30 speaking engagements between now and Thanksgiving.
Oh, my gosh.
Another 10 or 15 webinars. So I will be all over the country.
Ubiquitous.
jbaer.com has my whole speaking calendar. Next trip is Louisville on Wednesday and Denver on Friday.
Very nice. Any parting words? Last bit of encouragement for our listeners?
Just that, remember that the goal isn't to be good at social media. The goal is to be good at business because of social media, and those aren't necessarily the same things. Gotcha.
So don't try too hard to be yourself.
Well, I mean, don't care so much about how many people like you, because you can't eat those. Thanks, Wes.
I love it. Thanks, Jay. Safe travels.
Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye. There you have it. You can't eat your followers, even if you could. I think it's illegal in most states. Maybe not in the South. I don't know. Great advice there from Jay. In summary, social media is more of a customer keeping engine I like that. He brought up earlier. Email is Madonna. Facebook is Lady Gaga. So if you're not great at email, you have no business doing social. I'm working on a new concept called process before login. And I'll be rolling that out here in the fall. But the idea is simple, is that I think we rely too much on technology, and we think technology is going to save us. But using tools such as Infusionsoft to automate processes, if you don't have a process to begin with, there's nothing to automate. So just because you have a Facebook fan page, a Twitter profile, a LinkedIn profile, etc., it doesn't mean you're going to be any good at what you do. So get good at business and then find the proper medium for your business to get the word out. I like to say, deliver a powerful message in a powerful manner, and that message will find the right people. So hope you enjoyed this podcast. As always, please be sure to leave a comment on iTunes and here on the blog post, and tweet this out, that you liked the podcast with Jay. And as always, good selling. Thank you for listening to the Sales Whisperer podcast at www.thesaleswhisperer.com.